Hello and welcome. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran and this is Voice of the Global South. All right then, let's get started on the show this week. Gen Z is taking the world by storm quite literally. After Nepal, Mongolia and Indonesia in Asia, now youth-led protests rock Madagascar and Morocco in Africa. India warns Pakistan against any misadventure in Sir Creek. Find out what Pakistan is up to in the area to warrant the chilling warning from India. And coming soon, weight loss drug Ozempic to become available in India. All that and much, much more coming up on Voice of the Global South. Now, across the globe, young people are rising up like never before. From hashtags to street marches, Gen Z is organizing, mobilizing and uniting across borders to demand change. From Madagascar to Morocco and Nepal to Kenya, youths are making their mark through a powerful wave of protests for change. In Madagascar, deadly demonstrations erupted over worsening power outages and water shortages, basic services that the government has struggled to provide. The protests are testing the country's leadership, whose hold on power is once again under pressure. Elsewhere in Africa, Morocco is investing billions of dollars in football infrastructure as it prepares to co-host the 2030 FIFA World Cup. Now, this includes a massive new stadium and renovation of several existing venues. But this spending has sparked public protests, with many young people arguing that their more urgent needs, such as healthcare and education, are being ignored in favor of sports facilities. Aman Kumar Himanshu reports on a generation that refuses to stay silent.
In recent months, a trend of youth taking to the streets in Global South has been observed. This wave of youth-led protests has shook governments to their core and toppled leaders in some countries. Sri Lanka in 2022. Bangladesh in 2024. Mongolia in May 2025. Kenya in June. Indonesia in August. And Nepal in September. A new name has been added to this list: Madagascar. Madagascar is an island nation located off the eastern coast of Africa. On 29th of September, President Andry Rajoelina dissolved the government following protests over issues of electricity and water shortages. Unrest has gripped the capital Antananarivo River for days. The government imposed dusk to dawn curfews in a bid to control the chaos, but large crowds continued to flood the streets. Police used tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse the demonstrators. The United Nations said that the violence claimed nearly 24 lives and injured more than 100. In a nationally televised address, President Rajoelina acknowledged the outrage of young people. He said, and I quote, "I understand the anger, the sadness and the difficulties caused by power cuts and water supply problem. I heard the call. I felt the suffering. I understood the impact on daily life." Unquote. He then dismissed the Prime Minister and Cabinet Ministers. He said that interim ministers will remain in post until a new government is appointed in the coming days.
Pursuant to Article 54 of the Constitution, I have decided to terminate the functions of the Prime Minister and the government. While waiting for the formation of the new government, those in place will ensure the interim. During the next 3 days, we will receive the names of the Prime Minister. Then after his appointment, a deadline will be given to him for the composition of the government.
President Rajoelina pledged to find solutions to the country's crisis and expressed readiness to meet the young activists leading the demonstrations. But it did not satisfy the protesters, who drew inspiration from Gen Z demonstrations in Nepal and Kenya. Protesters said that the sacking of the government was small victory. They wanted change, the rule of law and justice for all.
C'est notre objectif et pour y atteindre, je pense.
I think that this movement is the way to change the system. We need to rearrange things because it's this system that makes it easier for power to be monopolized by a certain group of people who only care about their own well-being.
A chorus of protesters now called for the president's resignation. On 30th of September, youths marched in the capital, waving placards with messages such as "We need water, we need electricity, Rajoelina out." The protesters adopted a pirate flag from the Japanese anime series One Piece as their rallying symbol. This logo was also used recently by youth-led anti-regime protests in Nepal, Indonesia, the Philippines and France.
For us, the Gen Z and Katsu University, President Rajoelina's response is not acceptable. Therefore, the dismissal of the government is not enough for us. We demand the resignation of the president and the cleaning up of the National Assembly, which is from the same party as the president.
Here's how it all started. The demonstrations erupted on Thursday in response to worsening power and water shortages, alongside deepening frustration over poverty. Initially peaceful, the marches in the capital descended into violent clashes, with the police looting and arson. The homes of politicians close to the president were attacked. In a matter of days, the unrest had spread to 8 other cities. Explosions and screams rang out as large police contingents backed by armored vehicles dispersed crowds with tear gas and rubber bullets, while smoke rose from fires lit in the streets. Organizers who mobilized support through social media said that they had been inspired by youth-led movements in Kenya, Nepal and Morocco. Demonstrators even adopted a protest flag, which was first used in Nepal earlier this month.
They say we are a TikTok generation, a generation of idiots. And when we rise up, they don't let us speak out about the country's problems.
The student protesters were all dressed in black in line with a call on social media to mourn those killed. In the main, frustration reached boiling point over poverty and failing basic services. Madagascar is the leading producer of vanilla and has natural resources in farming, forestry, fishing and minerals. But it remains one of the poorest countries in the world. According to World Bank, more than 75% of its 28 million people live below the international poverty line of $3 per person per day. Blackouts and water shortages are not new to the island, but their increasing frequency and duration have severely disrupted daily life. Some areas were without electricity for more than 12 hours, and people's frustrations spilled into the streets.
Mon ras-le-bol et le ras-le-bol de tous les Malgaches.
I'm fed up, and so are all the Malagasy people, with power cuts, water cuts, and above all the confiscation of rights and power in the hands of a certain population. I think that, as citizens, we have a duty to demonstrate.
D'une certaine frange de la population.
The demonstrations might be the handiwork of Gen Z, but the grievances have been decades in the making. Since gaining independence from France in 1960, Madagascar has been rocked by multiple uprisings. Andry Rajoelina, a former mayor of Antananarivo, came to power on the back of a coup that ousted the country's president at the time. He rose to prominence by leading a wave of rallies against the then government. Those protests channeled growing public anger towards what we saw as an increasingly authoritarian regime and ultimately forced the president to step down. Rajoelina, backed by young people, seized power and became Africa's youngest president. Ironically, for a man who rose to power on the back of a youth protest, it is young people who are seeking his ouster today. The same people who once rallied behind him are now filling the Antananarivo streets, demanding his resignation. After not contesting the 2013 election because of international pressure, Rajoelina was voted back into office in 2018 and re-elected in 2023 in contested elections boycotted by the opposition. After the latest protest broke out, he invited applications for a new prime minister. An appeal by him urging candidates for ministerial posts to send in a curriculum vitae by mail or by LinkedIn was widely mocked on social media. This trend of youth-led protests is not unique to Madagascar. In northwestern Africa, a similar violent Gen Z protest erupted in Morocco. Demonstrators clashed with police in 11 different cities over corruption and the government's misplaced priorities. Hundreds of young Moroccans took to the streets and criticized the government for spending heavily on international sporting events while neglecting health and education. Protesters linked the struggling health system to preparations for the 2030 FIFA World Cup. They were shouting slogans such as "Stadiums are here, but where are the hospitals?" Morocco is building at least 3 new stadiums and renovating or expanding at least half a dozen others. It will also host the Africa Cup of Nations later this year. Unlike past protests led by unions or political parties, the rallies in Moroccan cities were largely organized through social media platforms such as TikTok and gaming app Discord. The protest won additional backing from Morocco's star goalkeeper Yassine Bono and its most famous rapper El Grande Toto. But two groups, Gen Z 21 and Morocco Youth Voices, urged peaceful and civilized protest and responsible debate, even as many supporters voiced more militant demands.
Young people are demanding schools and hospitals. What they are asking for is not impossible. These are necessities in Morocco. How can the authorities not understand this? Where is the government in all this? Where is the head of the Moroccan government, who does nothing but talk? Young people have demands that are vital for Morocco, particularly in terms of hospitals and schools.
We don't want football or anything else. If football had been good for us, it would have been introduced long ago and would have benefited young people. We want health. Our parents are suffering.
Protests in Morocco have historically focused on regional inequalities and government priorities. But the most recent protests reflected a nationwide anger. The unrest swelled after 8 women died giving birth in a public hospital at Agadir in capital Rabat. The 2023 World Health Organization data showed that Morocco had only 7.7 medical professionals per 10,000 inhabitants and far fewer in certain regions, including Agadir. In Morocco, people born between 1995 and 2010 make up the largest share of the population, and the weekend demonstrations were referred to as Gen Z protests. Morocco's youth have also drawn inspiration from Nepal, where youth-led protests have channeled widespread anger over the lack of opportunities, corruption and nepotism. The protests unfolding in Madagascar and Morocco raise a serious question. When governments fail to respond to the needs of their people, especially the youth, what other choice do citizens have but to take to the streets? These movements have not only channeled policies, but the very legitimacy of the government behind them. For Gen Z, protest is no longer just an act of defiance. It's a form of participation, a demand to be heard in societies that too often ignore them. Whether governments see this as a threat or a wake-up call may well shape the political future of entire nations. Aman Kumar Himanshu reports for DD India.
On 2nd October, when India celebrated the festival of Dussehra, the country's defense minister visited the front lines. Minister Rajnath Singh spent time at the Bhuj military station in the western state of Gujarat, bordering Pakistan. He addressed troops guarding the Run of Kutch, a salt marsh in the Thar Desert in the Kutch district of the state. At more than 7,500 square kilometers, it is one of the largest salt deserts in the world. He performed a traditional Hindu ritual called Shastra Puja, blessing the weapons that keep India's borders safe. And then he dropped a bombshell warning to Pakistan. Take a listen.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान पाकिस्तान ने लेह से लेकर सर क्रीक के इस इलाके तक भारत के डिफेंस सिस्टम को भेजने की नाकाम कोशिश की। जिस तरह से हाल में पाकिस्तान की फौज ने सर क्रीक के सटे इलाकों में अपना मिलिट्री इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बढ़ाया है, वह उसकी नीयत बताता है। साथियों, भारत की सीमाओं की रक्षा भारतीय सेनाएं और बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स मिलकर मुस्तैदी से कर रही हैं। अगर सर क्रीक इलाके में पाकिस्तान की ओर से कोई भी हिमाकत की गई तो उसे ऐसा करारा जवाब मिलेगा कि इतिहास और भूगोल दोनों बदल जाएंगे मेरे साथियों।
Strong words there. But Minister Singh does not stop there. He harks back to 1965, reminding the adversary that the Indian Army had reached Lahore. He says in the same breath that 60 years ago, today, in the year 2025, one route to Karachi passes through Sir Creek. Don't test India's patience is what the minister seems to be telling Pakistan in a not-so-subtle nudge. Now, if you're wondering what happened in 1965, well, that year, tensions boiled over in the Run of Kutch itself, the very place where Minister Singh was visiting. Pakistan launched Operation Desert Hawk in April that year, a sneaky probe with tanks and infantry to test India's defences. India pushed back hard and soon it lit the fuse for a bigger India-Pakistan war in August of that year. Now, why did Minister Singh make these remarks and why now? Well, the reasons are not far to seek. Reports suggest that the Pakistani army has been ramping up military infrastructure near Sir Creek. Now, military infrastructure would generally include everything from forward posts and better roads for quick troop movements to possibly even fortified bunkers. The reports, which are based on satellite imagery and intelligence, show that some of the said infrastructure is of recent vintage. Apparently, they popped up only in the last few months after India conducted Operation Sindoor in retaliation against the 22nd April terror attack at Pahalgam. The new infrastructure has been built probably in response to Pakistan's spectacular failure to push drones and probes from Leh all the way down to Sir Creek in the immediate aftermath of Operation Sindoor. If Indian military planners are to be believed, Pakistan has been expanding its military presence near Sir Creek for some time now. For instance, the Pakistani Navy maintains a base at Sir Creek for littoral defense and amphibious operations. It includes barracks at Radepir, just 2 kilometers from the creek's Pakistani bank. Capable of housing dozens of personnel, the barracks are reported to be active. Plans are afoot to deploy additional infantry and amphibious battalions in the region. Pakistan has also bolstered coastal surveillance with offshore patrol vessels, hovercraft and marine assault boats. Its air assets include maritime patrol aircraft stationed at the nearby Mehran and Karachi bases. Now, some of this build-up dates to 2019, when the Pakistani Navy formed the 32nd Battalion amid tensions over Jammu and Kashmir. A similar build-up was recorded in 2023. The report suggested that Pakistan was upgrading its security infrastructure in the area and deploying drones to monitor Indian activity there. So, get this, nothing is a coincidence. None of these activities are isolated. They align with broader Pakistani military shifts, including troop redeployments from the Durand Line on the border with Afghanistan to Indian frontiers and upgrades at bases such as Said al-Sharif. Clearly, Pakistan is stirring the pot again, and it has implications for India. Let me explain. First, security. That marshy, shifting border is a smuggler's dream. Drugs, arms, even terrorists slip through. Remember the 26/11 Mumbai attackers? They hijacked an Indian fishing boat right off Sir Creek to sneak in. Pakistan's new infrastructure could make incursions easier, turning a quiet creek into a flashpoint. Also, a fortified Pakistan could enable drone swarms, as seen in May 2025 after India launched Operation Sindoor. Remember, Pakistan used Turkish-origin drones to target 36 sites, including Sir Creek. Second, resources. Untapped oil and gas under that seabed could be worth billions. And third, it is strategic gold. Sir Creek guards Gujarat's coast, key for trade routes to the Arabian Sea. Loose ground here, and it affects India's naval flank, especially with Chinese activity taking place in the area as part of the so-called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. In his address to troops, Minister Singh said that even after 78 years of independence, Pakistan continues to create disputes over the Sir Creek sector, despite India's repeated efforts to resolve the issue through dialogue. A little bit of history would be in order here. Now, Sir Creek is a 96-kilometer tidal estuary snaking through vast marshy salt flats in the Rann of Kutch, Gujarat, home to India's famous white desert that floods with seawater during monsoons. It empties into the Arabian Sea. It forms the maritime boundary between India's Gujarat state and Pakistan's Sindh province. Now, as for the dispute, it dates back to colonial times. It's all about where the border runs. Now, India cites the Talweg doctrine or principle to say that the border should run through the center of the creek in keeping with international rules for navigable waters. But Pakistan disagrees. Now, for argument's sake, the Pakistani build-up in the area could be described as defensive posturing. But some analysts say that the Pakistani build-up is not defensive. It screams intent to press claims, maybe even link it to Jammu and Kashmir. And for a nuclear neighborhood, that is playing with fire. Vigilance is of the utmost essence. Now, India has just finished celebrating Dussehra, festival of good over evil, and one wonders, will Pakistan back off, or is this the calm before another storm? It's a drug on everyone's lips. It's whispered about in celebrity circles, and it's about to hit Indian shores. Ozempic is a name synonymous with dramatic weight loss and a revolution in diabetes care. As an India grappling with a surge in lifestyle diseases gets ready to welcome this so-called miracle injection, a critical question arises. Is this a genuine game changer for millions battling obesity, or is it a high-stakes gamble with unforeseen consequences? Aman Kumar Himanshu peels back the layers on the Ozempic phenomenon.
A hidden health crisis threatens millions of people. Diseases such as diabetes, obesity, and heart problems are now common in the global south, including India. Amid these alarming trends, India has become the latest country to approve the use of Ozempic, a drug that offers new hope in the fight against lifestyle diseases. On 26 September, Novo Nordisk of Denmark got the green light from India's drug regulator, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, to sell its global blockbuster diabetes medicine. Patients will soon be able to access the once-a-week injection to manage their blood sugar levels and also lose weight. The company has not yet shared information regarding the price of the medicine in India. While Ozempic is new, the semaglutide tablet marketed by Novo Nordisk under the brand name Rybelsus was first approved for use as a diabetic drug in 2020 in India. The Indian drug regulator's approval follows the World Health Organization's 5th September recommendation of a range of blockbuster weight loss drugs to treat diabetes and obesity globally for the first time. It added semaglutide, the active ingredient in Danish pharma giant Novo Nordisk, Ozempic and Wegovy, and tirzepatide used in US company Eli Lilly and companies Mounjaro to its list of essential medicines for adults worldwide. It also called for cheaper versions of the drugs to be made available for people in the global south. Ozempic is the brand name for semaglutide, a part of a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor analogous. Semaglutide injection is indicated for the treatment of adults with insufficiently controlled type 2 diabetes mellitus. It received its first approval from the United States Food and Drug Administration in 2017. How do medicines such as Ozempic work? These drugs enhance the action of a hormone in the pancreas called glucagon, like peptide 1 or GLP-1, the name given to this family of medications. The hormone affects the secretion of insulin, so it was first targeted to develop drugs to combat diabetes, but it turned out that GLP-1 drugs also suppress people's appetite by making them feel fuller. Ozempic boosts insulin production when blood sugar is high, prevents the liver from releasing unnecessary sugar, and slows down digestion, making people feel full for longer. While Ozempic is an anti-diabetic medicine that became popular on social media for its slimming properties, Novo Nordisk's other medicine called Wegovy, which has the same active ingredient as Ozempic in a different dose, is a weight loss drug. Such was Novo Nordisk's success that Ozempic was even credited for boosting Denmark's economic growth in 2023. From Hollywood actors to social media influencers, many celebrities have publicly shared their Ozempic success stories, which fueled widespread interest and curiosity. Their dramatic transformations, often shared on social media, show how the drug has helped them control appetite and lose weight steadily. Tennis player Serena Williams revealed that GLP-1 medication helped her reduce 31 pounds or 14 kilos. In September 2025, US model Christy Teigen revealed that she turned to Ozempic for weight loss following her 2020 miscarriage. Tesla chief Elon Musk has publicly credited Ozempic and Wegovy along with fasting as part of his weight loss routine. US comedian Amy Schumer admitted to using it about a year ago and said she shed weight but stopped after experiencing severe side effects. Another US comedian and actor, Jim Gaffigan, told People magazine in November 2024 that he lost 50 pounds or 22 kilos using Mounjaro. But here's the gamble: no drug is without risks. Users have reported side effects ranging from nausea and stomach upset to more serious risk of pancreatitis, gallbladder issues, and even vision changes. So prescription and supervision are essential. They also do not work for everyone. Some people taking the drugs do not lose weight, and the effect only lasts when people are taking the drug, meaning that they potentially need lifelong treatment. They're also expensive, plus the drugs are also only available in injectable forms, though pharmaceutical firms are developing daily pills that have shown promise in early trials. 1 in 8 people worldwide are now obese, while in 2022, more than 800 million people were living with diabetes. India has reported a sharp rise in lifestyle diseases too. More than 100 million people in India live with type 2 diabetes, and more than 250 million are affected by obesity. Both conditions have doubled over the past decade, highlighting the urgent need for effective weight management solutions. This growing health burden positions India as a key market for weight loss drugs. The recent approval of Ozempic marks a major milestone, but another shift is on the horizon. Novo Nordisk's patent of semaglutide is due to expire in March 2026, paving the way for Indian generics to enter the market, a shift expected to lower costs and increase availability. So, expect Indian pharmaceutical companies to begin offering low-cost versions of such medicines. This expected wave of affordable alternatives could significantly reduce treatment costs, making the drug more accessible, while also intensifying competition in the fast-growing obesity drug market, which is estimated to be worth $1 billion. Aman Kumar Himanshu for DD India.
And with that, it's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.